posting podcast stuff before I was here, but that didn't get makeup on my face.
Got you. Do you do video or audio only? What kind of podcast?
Audio only. It's called the Apprenticeship Diaries.
Really?
Yeah, I actually have been talking back and forth with Gabe, and I think they're gonna stream it on Reinventing the Tattoo app as well,
Sweet.
which is really cool. I am like, my head's exploding. Like,
That's
really,
awesome.
I don't know if we're streamlined enough for as nice as this whole thing is, but we're looking to get better. So it's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been? How many episodes do you have? How long have you been doing it?
This would make our 75th episode.
Okay.
At first we centered around tattoo artists, but I really branched out to just professionals in general. The goal was just the observance of alternative education and really what gets people to where they are, and a focus on the passion that kind of fuels the rest of the journey and all the, crap, for lack of a better word, that people go through for the things that they want. And just to kind of exhibit like the beginning, like that place where it's still mucky and it still feels really not good, and how we all really kind of go through it. And it's to show that it gets really better.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is it mostly interview focused, or do you just kind of like sit and talk? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an apprenticeship diary of mine in itself, in just podcasting, because I'm artists, we struggle with ego, I think, a lot. And for me, it was learning how to interview, how to do all of it. And so a lot of it, yes, the answer to your question is yes, but interviewing in itself is an art form, and it requires people like me to be silent. So so some of it is listening to myself and being like, shut up, just shh.
Right. There's nothing better. I mean, of course, you'll be overcritical of yourself, but just going through and editing your own podcast, just going like, wow, it's amazing how many times I can say in a 30-second period, or just or interrupt. I've learned a lot through Zoom interviews, because in that, I've learned to fix it now, but originally I had it in speaker mode, with ours being video. People would be talking or showing something, and I'm going, and so it's constantly cutting over to me on the on the video, and it's like, wow. And so that highlights how many times I open my mouth for no reason at all, because it just pops over to my face every time. So I've had to learn to get better about that. I've learned to keep myself on mute. There's a cool trick on Zoom. If you just keep yourself on mute and hold down the space bar, it unmutes you. I didn't know that for the longest time. So you can temporarily kind of unmute yourself just when you want to talk. And then all of your ums and ahs, nobody hears. It's great.
Oh, that's a great tip. It also adds one more thing to do before you speak.
Right.
Which kind of trains you. Yeah. That's a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's tricky. I never found myself being very good at interviews, even up to now. I've kept it so discussion based that I always have but ours didn't start as an interview show. It started as just me and a buddy of mine talking shop, basically. So it was kind of a back and forth. And then I just kind of kept it that way when it transitioned to an interview show, where I try to share as much as I ask. But it's not that I necessarily want to share as much as I ask. It's just that I'm not a great interviewer. It's the only way I know how to interact with people. So.
Well, I'm finding a lot of ego stripping things here, which is great, because that's the whole point, right? Like, as you learn, you kind of realize that it can get in the way of the things that you want the most if you don't learn how to curb it. So, the whole point of the podcast is, truthfully, in my experience, I didn't really like most tattoo artists, but it was a perception given a lot of outside noise that wasn't actually speaking to them. And so I wanted to network, and I wanted to meet more people. So, and within that, I found that I really like a hell of a lot more than I thought I did. And a lot of it might've been me. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great thing to learn, to find out. And like you said, there are a lot of egos, and a lot of times there's just this kind of standoffishness whenever you first meet another tattooer, first interact with other artists just in general. I don't know why it is, but sometimes when you just like or most of the time whenever you sit down and just find some commonality, first off, it's not very hard to find, and then second, usually you become like great friends. Now I feel like anytime we go, we don't do it anymore these days, but whenever we go to shows now, I feel like it's family reunions, and I used to be so intimidated going to conventions, and I would years ago, I would just sit at my booth and draw and not look at anyone, even when they came by. And now, I can't take 5 steps without, someone hugging me. So it's like,
right?
And it was just that little bit of like opening the door,
Yeah, no, totally. One of my apprentices just joined us, Eric. Just so you know. Yeah.
Hey, Eric, how are you?
Good. I'm decent.
You're decent. Good. Are you getting set up to tattoo? Are you at work or what?
I'm seeing appointments. I'm a vet.
Oh, okay. You're a vet. Okay. Wow. All right. So what, well, that's interesting. Why